Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. And in just 24 hours, live on Bleacher Report, we have been waiting nearly 4 months to see the one-on-one match between a man who is so beloved by the AEW faithful and a man who he thought was his best friend. His protege betrayed him during his biggest moment in his career. Now we will finally see them clash one-on-one. And, of course, we got a tag team title match in which the very fate of a faction could be decided. The faction that started this all. It could very well be decided, and that faction could very well crack under the greed and selfishness of wanting to be at the top of the tag team mountain. And finally, a determined, dangerous, and poised individual, hell-bent on unscripted violence, will go one-on-one with Le Champion to see who is the true king of AEW. But before it is time to decide the fate of that faction, before it is time to decide who is the true king of AEW, before it is time for AEW Revolution, it's time for the rundown! Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another video right here on YouTube.com. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known. Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind. This is the official rundown for AEW Revolution, which of course is streaming live on Bleacher Report Live tomorrow with the buy-in pre-show starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, main show starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They have not announced any matches for the buy-in. I'm actually pretty shocked that they didn't. There are 7 matches on the card. I'm actually pretty shocked that they didn't announce an 8th, and I actually had my thoughts on what the 8th match was going to be, which I will talk about in a little bit. I need to take a sip of water after that intro. I really do expend a lot of energy on that intro. But regardless, thank you guys, as always, for tuning back into the channel. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are making this channel what it really is. You guys have built this empire with me, of course, and it has become a community-wide phenomenon, if I do say so myself. So, AEW, they have been doing some great things since the start of 2020. They have really come into their own. They have been all guns blazing ever since the start of the year. And now we got AEW Revolution. We got Double or Nothing coming up on May 23rd. I'm assuming that they're going to be doing some little mini pay-per-views similar to Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen. I believe they'll probably do a Fight for the Fallen 2 in July again. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But regardless, we're talking about Revolution. A couple things. The special thank you to the Keyboard Warrior IRL. Shout out to him. He is one of the fastest rising content creators specializing in pro wrestling debates. He has pro wrestlers on his show with some fans to talk about the general topics of pro wrestling nowadays, whether it be the amount of high spots in pro wrestling, what really makes a superstar, stuff like that. So if you're interested in appearing on his channel, go follow him on Twitter. His Twitter is @IRL Warrior. Subscribe to him on YouTube as well. It's Keyboard Warrior IRL. He was on the rundown for Super Showdown on Wednesday. I had a great time analyzing Super Showdown with him. Super Showdown, as always, was a complete waste of time. I saw it, and I am not surprised by the ending, but I'm rather disgusted, and I will talk about that at a later date. That actually correlates with my report that I'm going to talk about on the LFU tomorrow. Couple things. Follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at the DJ Storms. If you missed the Thunderscope live stream where Thunder performed Youth Gone Wild by Skid Row, be sure to check that out. Add me on Facebook as well. And of course, for collaborations and business inquiries, my email, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. All links are in the description. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to hit that thumbs up. Try and get this video to 20 thumbs up. We're going to try and get around 30 comments, I would say. We average about 30 to 50 comments per video, I would say. Comment down below which match are you most excited for. And, of course, hit that subscribe button. We are just 300 subscribers away from 2,000. We're going to try and hit 2,000 by the summer of this year. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. You want to be on YouTube whenever I'm on YouTube. Because whenever I'm on YouTube, I give you the best videos possible in YouTube. No matter where you look, you're never going to find a video like me. I mean, come on, I'm the greatest wrestling analyst and the greatest YouTuber on this planet. Get on my level. Get on my level. See how many people are going to get their panties in a bunch over that. But anyway, enough of these shenanigans, enough of the self-brand promotion. Let's get straight into the matches. So as I stated before, we have 7 matches scheduled for AEW Revolution. Let's talk about the AEW World Tag Team Championship match between Adam Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. Now, this is a rather unpredictable match. The unpredictability factor is here because it offers 2 scenarios. They could drag this storyline out between Hangman Page and Omega, because obviously we know that the split is eventually coming. The split is coming. The heel turn by Adam Hangman Page is coming. The descent into darkness is almost complete for Adam Hangman Page. And sooner rather than later, Adam Hangman Page is going to become a full-fledged heel due to his frustrations for always coming up short and always being overlooked, especially after that promo, that sit-down promo this past Wednesday with the Young Bucks and JR, which was great, by the way. Young Bucks calling Adam Hangman Page a jobber in Ring of Honor before they took him, and they made him into something in AEW, which was a great savage line right there by Matt and Nick Jackson. I love that. But the descent into darkness is coming for Adam Hangman Page, and we are headed towards Adam Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing. So, with the Young Bucks winning the titles, Adam Hangman Page could blame the Iron Man match with Pac for the reason why they lost. Kenny Omega could take the pinfall, and that's why Adam Hangman Page and Omega would lose the Tag Team Championships. However, I really don't want to see them lose the titles just yet. And for the simple fact that, I'm sorry, I just do not like short title reigns. I don't. I really don't like short title reigns. They've only held the titles for what will be 38 days come tomorrow. So I don't really understand what the rush is for them to lose the Tag Team Championships. If anything, the correct team to take the titles off of Omega and Page is the Dark Order. And I'm actually surprised that they didn't put the Dark Order and SCU on the pay-per-view, considering that they've been embroiled in a feud since the last Dynamite of 2019, where SCU and the Young Bucks were both attacked by the Dark Order. So I'm surprised that the Dark Order and SCU are not on the card. But regardless of that, we have that storyline going on, and more likely than not, the Dark Order is going to beat SCU in that program and in that feud, with Matt Hardy being the Exalted One. Dark Order did say obsolete in their promo this past Wednesday on Dynamite, so that is a little tease, possibly, towards what is to come. For all we know, it could be a complete swerve. For all we know, Christopher Daniels could be the Exalted One. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there, but regardless, the Dark Order, more likely than not, are going to beat SCU in their feud, and realistically speaking, the Dark Order should realistically be the ones to take the titles off of Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, and truthfully, I would much rather see that than the Young Bucks, because the Dark Order right now, they have really surpassed Santana and Ortiz as the top heel team in the AEW Tag Team division. Santana and Ortiz have kind of cooled down just a little bit, considering that they haven't been really doing much ever since their feud with the Young Bucks ended. And it would make sense. It would make sense for the Dark Order, considering they are the best heel team in the division. They could take the titles off of Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, possibly at the end of March, beginning of April. Then you could start building towards Double or Nothing 2, where the Dark Order will face the Jurassic Express. Because the Jurassic Express, they are the Daniel Bryan tag team / faction in AEW right now. So if you want a big moment for them, if you want a big moment for Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, it would make sense for them to go forth against the best heel team as the tag team champions and beat the tag team champions, win the tag team titles at All Out 2. That's just me. That's how I would see it. It makes the most sense to me. Because realistically speaking, the Young Bucks, they don't need the World Tag Team Championships. I obviously know it plays within the story, the dissension of the Elite, and Adam Hangman Page's dissension into darkness. I understand it plays into that story. I'm just saying it would make more sense for the Dark Order to be the ones to take the titles off of Adam Hangman Page and Omega, considering that the Dark Order would benefit more from a win over a team like Adam Hangman Page and Omega, more so than the Young Bucks. And again, you can build up towards that best heel team versus best babyface team in the division for the tag team titles at your quote-unquote WrestleMania, because All Out is technically their WrestleMania, and more likely than not, we could very well see that show possibly on a bigger stage in a stadium in the near future, probably in the next 2-3 years or so. We'll see what happens. They have been on the rise. AEW has been on a major rise, so you know that they're going to really send shockwaves throughout the wrestling community in the next few years, considering that they got their deal extended to 2024. But it's a very unpredictable scenario, and I really don't have a clear-cut answer as far as who's winning this. If I was booking this, I would have Adam Hangman Page and Omega retain. I don't really see what the rush is to turn Adam Hangman Page on Omega so soon, because you do have 3 months to build towards Double or Nothing after Revolution. You got plenty of time. So you can extend this title reign just a little bit more. End of March, beginning of April, I would be completely fine with. Drop it to the Dark Order, and then you can start the program between Omega and Hangman heading into Double or Nothing, and that will be one of your marquee matches. Now, that would be me. I don't know how they're going to do this. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a bold prediction right here, and I'm going to say Adam Hangman Page and Omega are going to retain. I'm going to stick to that prediction. If the Young Bucks win, I'm not going to be mad. I am a fan of the Young Bucks. I know how good the Young Bucks are. They are the best tag team in the world. I mean, who's going to prove them wrong? Who's going to prove them wrong? I mean, look what they've done. I just don't think they need the tag team titles right now. I think the Young Bucks could possibly be tag team champions by the beginning of 2021. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It would make sense for them to win and continue the storyline with Adam Hangman Page and Omega. We'll see what happens. I'm calling Omega and Hangman to retain. Moving on to a match that was actually announced on Dynamite. Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Now, a lot of people are asking, oh, why is this match taking place? Simple. Pac is in need of a win on pay-per-view. Pac is in need of a win on pay-per-view, and he hasn't really had a major win in 2020 thus far. He's been very limited in his in-ring appearances as far as matches go in 2020. And plus, he just lost a great Iron Man match to Kenny Omega, by the way. Orange Cassidy is over. Orange Cassidy is over as ever. I don't think there is anyone in AEW right now as over with the gimmick that he has as Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is comedy done right in pro wrestling. A point where it's not overbearing. He's not trying too hard in order to seem funny, and because of the fact that they're not forcing him in your face and forcing him down your throat, that's what makes him come off as funny. That's what makes him come off as cool. And on top of that, the guy can actually wrestle. I have looked up plenty of his matches on YouTube, and I know that this guy can actually compete. I know that this guy can actually compete, and I'm actually very interested to see what he does against a guy like Pac. I'm actually very interested to see what he does against a guy like Pac. And on top of that, Orange Cassidy's not winning this. This match is being placed to give Pac a win on pay-per-view. And it's the same instance that they did back at Full Gear with Shawn Spears and Joey Janela. Joey Janela is over. Shawn Spears was a rising heel in need of a win at that time. Now, I don't really know what they're doing with Shawn Spears now. I think they're just biding his time until we get the mid-card title. And by the way, I'm going to say it over and over and over again until we actually get it. They need a mid-card title, and they need it now. Until we get the mid-card title, I am not going to stop mentioning it. Same thing with NXT UK. Until NXT UK and AEW institute mid-card titles, I will not stop saying that they need mid-card titles. They need them. But Shawn Spears and Joey Janela, why did they make that match? Shawn Spears was a rising heel in need of a victory. Joey Janela was over. Why did they put that match on the show? Because Joey Janela was a great babyface. People love Janela. I love Janela. I've interviewed him on the channel, for Christ's sakes. And Shawn Spears would benefit from a win over a guy who's over. And they got the job done. We got a decent match on pay-per-view. Joey Janela got over, and Shawn Spears got over as a heel by beating Janela. Same thing here. Pac is going to get a win on pay-per-view, just like Shawn Spears got a win on pay-per-view, and Pac is going to beat Orange Cassidy. Pac is going to get himself over as a heel, and hopefully we're going to get Pac in a prominent role going forward. We could get Pac and Moxley for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing, which I think is definitely going to happen, considering they have a lot of unfinished business. And that's pretty much it. I think it's going to be a very entertaining match. I'm very interested to see what Orange Cassidy can do. And Pac is going to win. Pac is going to win, and more likely than not, they're going to build him up towards a matchup against Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing. Moving on to a match that could realistically be for the mid-card title. The top two, who I believe are in contention for the AEW World Mid-Card Championship, rather. I almost said World Championship. But the AEW Mid-Card Championship, if it is to be introduced in the near future, the top two who are in top contention for it are competing in a match on Sunday. It is Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. And let me tell you something. This is the sleeper match right here. Do not sleep on this match. If these guys are given 15 minutes, I guarantee you these guys are going to steal the show. Everyone's looking at Cody and MJF. Everyone's looking at Jericho and Moxley. Everyone's looking at Adam Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. I'm looking at Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara, if you ask me. I'm looking at Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara. Darby Allin is the second coming of Jeff Hardy. Sammy Guevara has morphed into such an excellent, young, pretty boy, dick heel with the Inner Circle. He has really come into his role. Darby Allin, I mean, what can I say about Darby Allin? Darby Allin has benefited the most, possibly, from AEW. Darby Allin, from where he was on the independent scene and where he is now at just 22 years old. Think about that. He's 22 years old, and he's already this over. He's got his entire career ahead of him. He's got 2 decades left in this business. He's got all the time in the world to win championships. This match is only going to get Darby Allin over. And this is a perfect match for Darby Allin to get a win on pay-per-view. And I actually think we're going to see the dissension of the Inner Circle. We're going to see the Inner Circle be used here to put people over. Realistically speaking, Sammy Guevara does not need the win. Sammy Guevara has been winning matches here and there. Yes, he's taken a loss to Jon Moxley. He did take a loss on Wednesday night, but at the end of the day, Sammy Guevara is still going to benefit, and Sammy Guevara is still going to remain relevant because he's a part of the Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara right now doesn't need the win. If anything, if the mid-card title is coming within the next few months, and they may introduce it at Double or Nothing, they're going to have to introduce it at some point. We're already 2 months done with the year. We're already 2 months done with 2020. That's a scary thought in its own right. But we're already 2 months done with 2020. It would make sense for Darby Allin to get the win, and Darby Allin, more likely than not, is going to be your first AEW mid-card champion. There is no one in the AEW mid-card division, and there is a lot of promising young talent in there. Sabian, Janela, Guevara, Spears, Hager, Dustin. But Darby Allin, he is at the top of the list. If they wanted to, they could make Darby Allin the world champion right now. That's how over he is. That's how over he is. But I understand why they're not, because there's a bigger story to tell with Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho. And then, obviously, what is to come at All Out 2, which I will talk about later on when we get to the main event. But I think this match is going to be an excellent match. I think these two are going to absolutely bring it. These two are going to put forth a hell of a fight, and I can see Darby Allin coming out victorious. There's no need for Sammy Guevara to win, and Darby Allin is going to continue his momentum going into 2020, and more likely than not, he's going to be the first ever AEW mid-card champion, whatever they decide to call it. I can see Darby Allin winning this. Dustin Rhodes versus Jake Hager. Now, if there's one match that I really think could be the weakest match on the show, and not to say that it's going to be a bad match, but if there's one match that I can see being a little lackluster, a little out of place, it's Dustin Rhodes and Jake Hager, even though the storyline calls for it to be on pay-per-view. This stems back to before Full Gear, when Jake Hager broke Dustin Rhodes' arm. Jake Hager broke Dustin Rhodes' arm, and Jake Hager pretty much put a target on his back. Dustin Rhodes had been saying that Jake Hager broke his arm. Now he wants a piece of his ass at Revolution. And I love the promo that Dustin Rhodes cut a few weeks ago, calling Jake Hager Jericho's bitch, saying you're failing at your MMA career, and you're failing here before you even get started. That I loved. That I loved. You know, we can shit on Jake Hager for his WWE run all we want, but when he's given the opportunity, Jake Hager is a fairly solid pro wrestler. And I never discredit an individual's in-ring ability. If you're good in the ring, then I'm going to say it. You can't discredit Jake Hager's in-ring ability. He is very good, and I can see him working a bit of a similar style that he worked with in the WWE. I can see him employing some of his MMA tactics in there. Dustin Rhodes is in phenomenal shape for 50 years old. I need to find whatever supplements Dustin Rhodes is on when I turn 50. I swear, please, guide me to the fountain of youth, Mr. Rhodes, please. Dustin Rhodes, at 50 years old, still doing cannonball sentons, Canadian destroyers. Ridiculous. I mean, I don't expect a Canadian destroyer here against Jake Hager. Hey, for all we know, he could end up pulling off a Canadian destroyer. For all we know. But this match, I can see it being a little lackluster. Just a little lackluster, considering that you take a look at everything else on the card, and Dustin Rhodes and Jake Hager, they are on the bit of the older side of pro wrestling. Not to say that that's bad, but I can see this being a very old school paced match. I can see this being very technical in the beginning. I can see this being very hard-hitting, very basic moves, I would say. Nothing too crazy, no crazy high spots, no quick back and forth. I would say it's going to be physical, though. It's going to be physical. It's going to be hard-hitting. And as far as who wins, I can't really give you a straightforward answer as to who wins this, considering that it could call for Jake Hager to win, considering that it is his first match in AEW history, but then again, I don't really see Jake Hager factoring into any ranking systems or any championship title pictures. Dustin Rhodes, I can't really see him factoring into any championship title pictures either, but considering that he is out for revenge against Jake Hager, the storyline would call for Dustin Rhodes to get his revenge on Jake Hager and would call for Dustin Rhodes to get the win over Jake Hager. It's a very unpredictable scenario. It really is a very unpredictable scenario. If I was to pick a bold prediction here, I would probably go with Dustin Rhodes. I would probably go with Dustin Rhodes, considering Jake Hager did get the upper hand over Dustin Rhodes this past Wednesday on Dynamite. And on top of that, Dustin Rhodes has been waiting for 4 months now to get his hands on Jake Hager. And I can't really see Jake Hager factoring into any major championship implications. I can't really see him factoring into any ranking systems. Maybe when they institute a mid-card title, yeah, but right now, I think he's playing his role perfectly as Chris Jericho's bodyguard. I think that is his role for the time being. I really don't see him factoring into anything else. It makes sense for him to be Chris Jericho's bodyguard. And on top of that, he has his MMA career to focus on. He has a lot of duties and implications with his MMA career. So we'll probably see him in another fight over the summer. So it really wouldn't make sense for him to get the win here if he's not really going to factor into anything outside of being Jericho's bodyguard on AEW television. So it would make sense for Dustin Rhodes to get the win, get his measure of revenge on Jake Hager, and move on to something else. So I can see Dustin Rhodes winning this. If Jake Hager wins, I wouldn't really be surprised because you do have to, in a sense, keep the inner circle somewhat stable and somewhat legit. I don't think that all members of the inner circle are going to lose. I mean, if there is to be one member of the inner circle that is going to win at Revolution, I can see Hager winning it, but I'm going with Dustin Rhodes. Moving on to the AEW Women's World Championship match between Nyla Rose and Kris Statlander. And I will say this, outside of the 2 weeks that we had the Nightmare Collective on AEW television, I believe it was January 8th and January 15th episode of Dynamite that we had the Nightmare Collective on AEW television. Outside of those 2 weeks, the AEW Women's Division has been doing some really great things. They have stepped up their game massively, and I really commend AEW itself, Kenny Omega, and the women themselves for stepping up their game since the year began. We had a great Fatal 4-Way to kick off the year at the first episode of Dynamite between Nyla Rose, Riho, Shida, and Britt Baker. We had perhaps the best AEW women's matchup to date with Nyla Rose and Riho for the Women's Championship back on February 12th. Kris Statlander's been on the rise. Sheeta's been on the rise. Big Swole. I have really been enjoying what Big Swole has been doing. Big Swole has so much charisma, so much intensity, and week by week, we have seen her progress so much in the ring. Nyla Rose, let me tell you something. I am more of a Nyla Rose fan than I am of a Riho fan. And you can have your opinion on Nyla Rose all you want, but Nyla Rose, she has grown so much since the first AEW Women's World Championship match. She has come such a long way. You cannot discredit anything that Nyla Rose has done. Nyla Rose has a certain sense of legitimacy to a point where you will take her seriously in everything that she does and everything that she says, especially after that promo a few weeks back. And I will even go so far as to say that Nyla Rose is what Nia Jax should have been. Nia Jax and her character portrayal was great in NXT, but once she got up to the main roster after WrestleMania 33, she just went downhill. She went downhill as far as her character portrayal goes. And on top of that, Nyla Rose progressed in the ring. Meanwhile, Nia Jax regressed in the ring. That is the biggest difference between Nyla Rose and Nia Jax. Nyla Rose is what Nia Jax should have been. A legitimate beast in the women's division. And right here, I feel as though she's going to prove that against Statlander. And a lot of people are asking, why are they doing Statlander? Kris Statlander has been on a winning streak. She won 3 matches in a row. She won a tag team match against the Nightmare Collective alongside Shida. She did defeat Diamante on AEW Dark, and she defeated Shana on AEW television. She's been on a winning streak. Riho just lost the championship. She's on a losing streak. She lost a match. We are going to get a rubber match between Riho and Nyla Rose at some point. This is merely an interim opponent, and I feel as though they did this because they didn't want to just give away the rubber match. They wanted to give Statlander a legitimate women's championship match after that first disaster of a women's championship match on the January 8th episode of Dynamite. And you know something? I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I want to see what Kris Statlander can do on a stage like Revolution. And I think that Kris Statlander and Nyla Rose, I think they're going to have a very interesting dynamic. I think that Kris Statlander has really come into her own. I think that Kris Statlander is someone that you can really build the women's division around. And if Kris Statlander is given the opportunity, which I believe she will be, I think that Kris Statlander is going to be a key player in the AEW women's division. I think she's going to be AEW women's champion by the end of the year. I'm calling it right now. Kris Statlander is going to be AEW women's champion by the end of 2020. Nyla Rose is not losing. This is her first championship title defense. They put Kris Statlander in there because they know that Kris Statlander is over. Kris Statlander is a great worker, and Kris Statlander is going to give Nyla Rose a great match. And I think Nyla Rose is really going to shine here at Revolution. Nyla Rose is going to retain the championship. Nyla Rose and Riho, they're going to have a rubber match sometime between AEW Revolution and Double or Nothing. And depending on whether they want to do it or not, because they did tease it, I can definitely see Big Swole getting an AEW Women's World Championship opportunity sometime between Revolution and Double or Nothing, and that will be Nyla Rose's third championship title defense. Then we get to Double or Nothing. Based on what happened this past Wednesday on Dynamite, and based on her booking over the last few months, I can see Shida, Hikaru Shida, being the person to be built up to Double or Nothing, and at Double or Nothing, Hikaru Shida is going to get her due. Hikaru Shida is going to go into Double or Nothing. She's going to defeat Nyla Rose, and Hikaru Shida is going to be the AEW Women's World Champion. As far as Kris Statlander goes, I can definitely see Kris Statlander versus Shida at All Out 2, but I don't think they would take the title off of Hikaru Shida that quickly. I think Hikaru Shida deserves a much longer run with the championship, possibly until the end of the year, possibly until the November show, Full Gear. If it was up to me, I would wait till Full Gear, because I think if there's anyone that deserves a lengthy championship reign, a nice, long championship reign, it's Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida, undoubtedly the best women in the AEW women's division. Some would argue Statlander, which I can see why. Kris Statlander is definitely in my top 3. Some would argue Nyla Rose. I can definitely see why. Nyla Rose is very good at what she does. She's probably the best heel in the AEW women's division right now. Some would say Big Swole. Big Swole, I don't think she's there yet, but she's slowly coming along. I love that she has been adding new moves to her repertoire. I love how she's progressed in the ring. I love her charisma. I love the cockiness. I love the energy that she brings every single time she's in the ring. And she does have a certain level of intensity that not a lot of women have, but she's not there yet. But if there's anyone that deserves an AEW Women's World Championship reign that's nice and long, it's Hikaru Shida. And I can definitely see Hikaru Shida winning the championship from Nyla Rose at Double or Nothing, and I can definitely see Hikaru Shida dropping it to Kris Statlander, possibly at Full Gear later in the year in November. As far as this match goes, I think this is going to be a very good match, a very, very underrated match. Could be the most underrated match of the night, and I can see Nyla Rose walking out victorious here in her first title defense. Kris Statlander is going to get a lot of time to shine. She's going to get her moves in there. It's going to go 13, 14 minutes, and Nyla Rose is going to win. And we're headed towards a rubber match between Nyla Rose and Riho, possibly at the end of March. We'll see what happens there. Let me just take a sip of my water before we continue. Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Cody. Now this has been building for almost 4 months, and they have done an exceptional job with this feud. They have done an exceptional job building this feud, and if I'm going to be quite honest with you, I don't think this feud is over. I don't think this feud is over after Revolution. I think this feud's continuing. MJF and Cody has undoubtedly been the best program in all of AEW right now. Ever since Full Gear and that initial heel turn, MJF and his heel work has been absolutely exceptional. Probably the best heel of the modern era. Could very well, by the end of his career, be one of the top 10 best heels of all time. And he's only 23 years old. Going to be 24 very, very soon. The guy has his entire career ahead of him. And already he's in the conversation for best heel in the business. He is the best heel in the business. What am I talking about? But he could very well be considered one of the greatest heels of all time by the time his career is over. And whether you like it or not, you're going to have to accept that, because it's the gospel truth. It is the gospel truth. There is no way that you can tell me that Baron Corbin is a better heel than MJF. I see it all the time. Who's the better heel, Baron Corbin or MJF? Baron Corbin or MJF? People, there is a major difference between Baron Corbin and MJF. And let me tell you something. I was once a Baron Corbin fan. I think Baron Corbin's a great wrestler. I actually think Baron Corbin may be a slightly better wrestler than MJF. I actually think Corbin may be a slightly better wrestler than MJF. Baron Corbin's a decent promo as well, but his character is the main thing that's holding him back. His character sucks. His character's not good. His character's nauseating. That's a fact, man. You take a look at MJF and his character being the narcissistic prick that everyone just wants to see get his face caved in. That is what is getting MJF over, not a shitty King gimmick. And I've stated this before. If the King of the Ring winner is just going to get a crown, a robe, a scepter, and a shitty King gimmick, you might as well not even have the tournament in the modern era at all. But that's a different conversation for a different time. The main difference between MJF and Corbin is the reason behind their reactions. Everyone wants to say, oh, they're getting heat. They're getting a reaction. That means they're doing their job. No, absolutely fucking not. That is a lame fucking excuse. I don't care whether you're a part of the business. I don't care whether you're a wrestler. I don't care what type of position that you have in the community. I don't care if you have inside sources. I don't care if you're a YouTuber, a podcaster, a content creator, a fan. Just because someone gets a reaction doesn't mean that they're doing their job. Just because someone gets a reaction doesn't mean that they're a success. It is the reason behind the reaction that determines whether someone is a success or a failure in their position. Why is MJF getting booed? Think about it. Think. Why is MJF getting booed? MJF is getting booed because he's beating up Cody Rhodes. He's getting in the faces of Cody's loved ones, his family, his friends. He's whipping Cody Rhodes. He's trying every single trick in the book to make Cody Rhodes seem like a complete wimp. He's trying every possible trick in the book to embarrass Cody Rhodes. And because Cody is so beloved by everyone, he's one of the most beloved baby faces in the wrestling industry right now. Just you can listen to the reaction that he gets when he comes out. Cody is so beloved that everything that MJF does to Cody, people legitimately want to see MJF get his ass kicked by Cody. But here's the difference. We still want to see MJF. We want to see MJF on television because we want to see what he does next. We want to see what MJF does next, and we want to physically see and witness Cody Rhodes putting MJF in his place. We want to witness Cody Rhodes beating the living shit out of MJF. MJF has legitimate heel heat. He's getting booed because he is beating up and he is physically embarrassing one of the biggest baby faces, if not the biggest baby face in all of pro wrestling right now, which is Cody. Why is Baron Corbin getting booed? Baron Corbin is getting booed because his character is undoubtedly the worst character in all of WWE right now. He's not getting booed because he's beating up a lovable babyface. Roman Reigns isn't a beloved babyface. The only reason why he's getting cheered right now is because he's not in the world title picture. But just wait till after the Elimination Chamber. You'll see. You'll see. Roman Reigns is one of the biggest people to constantly shit the bed at being a babyface. Roman Reigns has been shitting the bed as a babyface since 2015. The guy has absolutely no value as a babyface. I don't care whether you're a fan of him or not. This is the reality of the situation. Roman Reigns, in his current character right now, has about as much value as the shit that my dog took on my neighbor's lawn the other day. But that's a different story for a different time. Baron Corbin is getting booed because his character is terrible. He's getting booed because his character is terrible. He's getting booed because this feud that he's been in with Roman Reigns, which I hope to God is the end after what happened yesterday, but he's getting booed because of the fact that this feud with Roman has been one of the worst feuds, a feud just as worse, if not worse than the Lana Rusev-Lashley storyline, and this King gimmick is embarrassing. This King gimmick is terrible. That's a fucking fact, people. You know what that's called? Go away heat. You know why? Because we don't want to see Baron Corbin on television at all because there is no redeeming qualities about Baron Corbin. Even if he's a great wrestler, and he is a great wrestler, the guy can put on a good match when he's paired with the right talent. But his character and his booking has been probably the worst booked character and the worst booked wrestler all year. Ever since they made him the Constable. They killed all the value that Baron Corbin had when they made him the Constable. And that's the difference between Baron Corbin and MJF. Corbin has go-away heat. MJF has legitimate heel heat. You cannot tell me that Baron Corbin is the best heel in the business just because he gets booed. If he's not getting booed for the right reason, then he's not a success. If you are not getting booed for the right reason, if you're not getting the right reaction for the right reason, then you're not a success. Just a reaction doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. You need to get that through your fucking heads. MJF is undoubtedly the best heel in the business right now. Cody Rhodes has done everything in his power to get MJF over as the biggest dick in the pro wrestling world, and he succeeded. Based on everything that's been going on and how Cody's been constantly getting the upper hand on MJF, he got the lashes. He got the lashes. He threw MJF in the pool. He beat Wardlow inside the steel cage. Cody has toppled everything that MJF has had to throw at him since the start. Toppled the Butcher and the Blade. Toppled the lashes. Toppled Wardlow inside the cage. I don't see Cody winning this. I know a lot of people have been calling that, but I really don't see Cody winning this. I see MJF winning this. I see MJF winning this. And I see them building towards a second match. I see them building towards one more match at Double or Nothing. And this is when the stakes are raised to the highest. I see them building towards one more match at Double or Nothing. If Cody wins, he can challenge for the AEW World Championship again. Because you have to remember, Cody did not submit. Cody did not say, I quit. Cody was not pinned. Cody was not submitted. MJF threw in the towel. Cody did not make the decision to quit. Cody did not make the decision to stop the match. MJF did. MJF took Cody Rhodes' opportunity and his world title opportunity, his world title reign, and any other chances he could possibly have for the world championship. He took it away from him. Cody now wants to get that back. So if Cody wins, he can challenge for the AEW World Championship again. But if MJF wins, then Cody Rhodes must retire as a pro wrestler. And that is how you build the second match. That is how you build the second match. Cody's title opportunities versus his career. And that is how you end the feud. That match. And if you want to make it a stipulation match, you want to make it a no DQ, you want to make it a last man standing, falls count anywhere match, you want to do that, they can do it. If you want to do that, they can do it. But that's how I see it. I see MJF winning this matchup at Revolution. I think it's going to be a great match. As always with Cody Rhodes, Cody has some of the best in-ring storytelling that you will possibly find. Probably the best in-ring storyteller that you will find in pro wrestling right now. I don't think that there is anyone that could possibly be the total package as well. Cody Rhodes could possibly be the total package. Not just the best in-ring storyteller. He could be the total package as far as a professional wrestler goes. He's got a great look. He's got great theme music. He has charisma. He has great in-ring storytelling skills. He's got great mic work. The guy has done everything picture perfectly since the start of AEW. And the guy can work both as a babyface and a heel. And I can see MJF winning this, and I see Cody Rhodes getting another match with MJF, and Cody's eventually going to win that matchup at Double or Nothing, and we are going to get a possible Cody and Kenny Omega feud down the line. Now, I say that because of what could happen following the AEW World Championship match, which we'll talk about right now. Chris Jericho defending the AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley. This has been built up since they teased it at the end of November. Then we had Chris Jericho offering Jon Moxley a position in the Inner Circle. Jon Moxley declined. And then Jon Moxley got his eye stabbed out by Chris Jericho with his own spike from his jacket. Chris Jericho, he's been doing some great things as the AEW World Champion. And Chris Jericho has done everything he possibly can to put AEW on the map. But Jon Moxley, he has been built up as an absolute beast. Probably similar to Brock Lesnar. Similar to Brock Lesnar. And if I was to make a prediction here, it makes sense. It only makes sense. Jon Moxley is winning the AEW World Championship. I think this is going to be a great match. I think they've really done a great job at making this match feel like a main event match. And that's something that you don't normally see. You don't normally see that in pro wrestling, specifically in the WWE, at least on Raw and SmackDown. You don't usually see your World Championship matches actually be built up as World Championship matches. They just throw them together and they just expect you to care just because it's for the World Championship. That's not how it works. You need to give me reasons in order to care about the two men fighting for the World Championship. And that's exactly what they've done with Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley. They have made these two the two most dominant individuals in the AEW division, the main event division, and they have put them forth in a storyline where Chris Jericho was trying to manipulate Jon Moxley, trying to get Jon Moxley to join the Inner Circle because he didn't want Jon Moxley to challenge Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship. Chris Jericho was then outsmarted by Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, he played Chris Jericho like a fiddle. And now he has Chris Jericho right where he wants him. Right here for the AEW World Championship at Revolution. Jon Moxley is going to win the championship. I can see Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho in a rematch sometime between now and Double or Nothing. And then at Double or Nothing, I could see Jon Moxley versus Pac. I can see Jon Moxley versus Pac. I can see Jon Moxley getting another interim title defense, possibly at a Fight for the Fallen event. I would definitely not mind seeing Jon Moxley versus someone like an Adam Hangman Page. I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't mind seeing him against someone like a Sammy Guevara or Darby Allin. If they want to do another Joey Janela Jon Moxley match, I wouldn't mind that because they have put on some great matches in the past. And as far as who's taking the title off of Jon Moxley, I can see Kenny Omega doing it. I think that the story writes itself. The story writes itself for Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley to face off at All Out 2, in which we were originally supposed to get the matchup between Omega and Jon Moxley, but instead we got it at Full Gear in a lights-out unsanctioned match. I can see Omega getting his revenge on Jon Moxley, since that was pretty much the entire downfall of Kenny Omega. And I can see Kenny Omega beating Jon Moxley at Double or Nothing 2, or not Double or Nothing 2, All Out 2, and Kenny Omega wins the World Championship. And then I could see Omega holding it possibly till the end of the year, possibly till the beginning of 2021. And I can see Cody Rhodes and Omega being the World Championship match, possibly at Revolution next year. And Cody could win the World Championship there. And then maybe we could get Hangman Page winning the World Championship from Cody. It is definitely a toss-up, but I definitely see Omega being the one to take the title off of Moxley come August, since, again, the story pretty much writes itself. And then Cody, with Cody going up against MJF at Double or Nothing, and with Cody getting his title opportunities back from MJF and finally disposing of MJF, that would be a great story to tell, with Cody winning the World Championship next year. And it doesn't even have to be the Hangman. We could have MJF and Cody at Double or Nothing or All Out 2 in 2022. We could see that in 2021. We could see that in 2021, and we could see MJF completely shift the gears, and we could see MJF win the World Championship, and MJF becomes the face of AEW for real. That would be something. As far as this match goes, I see Jon Moxley winning the World Championship. It does not make sense for Chris Jericho to retain. It only makes sense for Jon Moxley to go in there and Jon Moxley to walk out as the World Champion. And Jon Moxley is going to remain unpinned and unsubmitted. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rundown. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. I can't thank you enough. As always, all my social media links in the description. You already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Tomorrow, of course, is the Lightning Flash update. I will go over a lot of news and rumors concerning WrestleMania, concerning a suspension, concerning injuries. And, of course, we got the 7 weekly shows. A lot of great wrestling this week. A lot of great stuff to talk about. Obviously, we had some down points with Monday Night Raw. Of course, you're going to have some down points with Monday Night Raw. SmackDown, of course, is tonight. I will go over that. And, of course, 205 Live is tonight as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms. And this has been The Rundown. And I will see you tomorrow for the LFU.